G'day guys, it's your pal Nick here from the Bulldog Fanatic YouTube channel, and in today's video we are reviewing the epic classic thriller at Marble scene between the Western Bulldogs and the Melbourne Footy Club in round 11 on Sunday afternoon footy. Let's get into it. So the Bulldogs won 14-9-93 to the Demons 13-12-90 in just what was an epic contest really. The Dogs, getting off to a really good start, having a really good first half and getting out to as much as 5 goals halfway through the second before Melbourne reeled it back in to single digits at half time. And then it was kind of like seesawing in the third quarter where there was swings of momentum where the Dees would get a couple of goals here and the Dogs get a couple of goals back. And yeah, the scoring dried up a lot in the second half, and it was more of a fight, more of a scrap, as you would say. So it truly was an epic contest, and both teams played really well. And the Dogs just got the chocolates in the end when the final siren sounded, which was truly epic in front of a crowd of over 29,000 at Marble Stadium. And oh mate, when that final siren went, I was just so relieved and so happy because I was like, I was so salty about the Carlton loss. I was like almost gave up on the season really. So much I tipped Melbourne, so I'm happy I got that tip wrong. But yeah, truly an epic contest, and I'm so relieved when the siren sounded, we won. So good, especially with my dad and his brother. So fun. Why we won? Well, because we actually gave a shit this week. We actually cared. It looked like the players cared. The skill level was obviously a lot better, and more importantly, the effort and tenacity and the will to hunt at the contest was so much better than the week against Carlton, especially from the midfielders. The midfielders got the rocket up the arse they needed from a very poor game against Carlton, where we got smashed in contest possessions and clearance. And guess what? Even without Tim English and Rory Lobb as the ruckman, we won the contest possession and clearances against the Dees, despite having Max Gawn as the ruckman, probably the greatest ruckman of all time. So to win the contest possessions and the clearances shows the midfield came to work on Sunday. It was really good to see, especially Ed Richards. He was best on ground in my opinion. He got the 10 coaches vote, so both coaches agreed he was the best player on the ground. Had 30 disposals, nearly 800 metres gained, and kicked 3 snags. God, he was so good, especially in that last quarter with that clutch goal. Whew, that was amazing. It's just like his will to attack at the footy was awesome, and his foot skills were beautiful. Back to the 2025 All-Australian of Ed Richards, I know. So it's fantastic to see. And the Bont. A Bont was being Bont, really. And he was just the smooth operator, the Royals Royce that we know and love. And yeah, he was just awesome. Cheers, Melbourne, for letting our 2 best midfielders run loose. I was really happy with how he did in the ruck. Rory Lobb, he was bloody awesome, Rory Lobb. He had a career-high 10 tackles, which is awesome to see. And, he competed really well with Max Gawn. Max Gawn did win out, but he actually competed really well with him physically, and that was the reason why we won. Is it not a coincidence that we haven't, that Lewis Emmett, in the 5 games he's played, they've all been losses, 5 losses for the year. I don't want to say it's just the kid of why we lost, he's the reason why we lost, but having Rory Lobb in there instead of Louis Emmett or Lucky Smith made a world difference, because Lobby has the height and the experience to go over Max Gawn, and it did really help, allow our midfielders to win the midfield battle ultimately. Long term, I obviously want Tim English rucking, but having Lobby, sacrifice his role of being a key defender and coming back after a couple of weeks of doing a hammy, him competing in the ruck was just awesome for us, and a big reason why, in my opinion, we won the game and won the midfield battle. Now, I got to speak about this player, because this player had a very polarizing game, but ultimately he helped us win in the end, and that is the young gun at 20 years old, Joel Fraser. Now, I said during the game, around halfway through the game, just drop him, because the way he was playing was just very familiar with what it's been the last few weeks, just trying to be too cute with his disposal, dropping chest marks that I've seen a lot this year. He did that a few times on Sunday. He gave away a couple of 50s, or he gave away 150 where he rubbed the head of the Dees player, as like taunting when Will Lewis was about to have a shot at goal from like 20 out on a slight angle. So it cost us a goal there. And probably the damnest thing of all, the ball went inside 50 with 5 minutes to go in the Dees forward line, and Joel Fraser was kind of like ball watching. He was on like the wing area, like where the wing would be at the back of the pack, And he was like alongside Ed Langdon, and he was kind of like ball watching, or Ed Langdon was like right at the back, and I got to the back of the pack, and Ed Langdon ran into an open goal, and that didn't look great on Joel Fraser, kind of like ball watching and not being right next to Ed Langdon, especially when you're defending, so that wasn't great. But then Aaron Naughton squared up a great footy to him, and Joel Fraser had a shot from about 35 out or so on a side angle, and he kicked the damn thing. He clutched up. Joel Fraser clutched up and ultimately kicked the match-winning goal for us to put us back in front with 3.5 minutes to go. So it was such a weird game from Joel Fraser, but ultimately it ended up being a plus for us because he made up for the errors he did earlier in the game with the match-winning goal. Clutch as steel. Clutch as balls. Joel Fraser. This guy also had a really bizarre game, but he ended up being a plus for us. Riley West. He's had a disappointing year to say the least, but the last weeks have been better. And on Sunday, he had an interesting game. He kicked 2 goals, very crucial, but he also gave away 2 50s, which wasn't ideal. So, yeah, plus and a negative Riley West, throughout the game, giving me headaches, but also giving me joy. But the thing that gave me the most joy and completely changed the game, and was a big part of why we won, was that rundown tackle on Jack Steele. For context, Melbourne had won it at halfback, and they were going through the middle. It was a pretty open forward line, and at this point, there was just over 4.5 minutes to go, and they were in front. It was a pretty open forward line Melbourne had. Ed Langdon gave the ball running shotgun to Jack Steele going through the middle, and Riley West came out of nowhere and had that dog in him. He had that DNA bulldog in him and chased down Jack Steele and caught him red-handed holding the ball. It was bloody beautiful, and that ultimately set up the Joel Fraser goal that Joel Fraser kicked with less than 4 minutes to go. So that literally started that chain of us winning the game, really. Riley West, what a tackle. One of the best moves of his career. He absolutely got him red-handed. It was like the perfect rundown tackle. Jack Steele had no idea. Oh, mate. Riley West, it's been an interesting year for him, but he's been really good the last few weeks, and bloody hell was he good on Sunday. So, thank you, Riley. Thank you, Westy. Pure West. Pure Riley West. The last individual I want to talk about is Aaron Naughton. He kicked 2 goals, but he had 18 disposals. And what I was most impressed about him is what he's been doing his entire career as a forward, and that is not giving up and going for those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th efforts as a forward. Not many key forwards do. He was setting up goals with his tackling and his pressure and with his kicking, to the other forwards, as well as kicking 2 goals. So from that point of view, it was great. But what stood out to me was 2 minutes to go on the wing where I was sitting on the far wing. And yeah, it was 2 minutes. It was frantic footy. We were up by a couple of points, and Aaron Naughton, he didn't get any disposals. He just kept tapping it forward. He kept gaining as much media reach as possible just to take as much time off the clock. It was really crucial. It was really 2016 Bulldogs-esque in terms of DNA, and very smart of him not to take possession, just to keep tapping the ball forward and try and get as close to the boundary as possible and keep trying to take media reach and get close to our forward line. It was just the will and hunt and desire to keep that footy alive and in front of him. Just so good. That's why he's such a damn good player. And I think he gets underrated because it's those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th efforts he does as a key forward that what stands out to me. Not the fact he kicks goals, which is a big part. He does stand out, kicking snags, and he's marking. But what impressed me the most about Aaron Naughton and why he's leader of this footy club, because he's willing to step up in the big moments by not just kicking goals, by, tapping it, trying to gain media reach and getting knock-ons and whatnot. And it was so good. And he helped us take time off the clock. So thank you, Naughty, for a great game. And he's, equal 4th, 5th in the Coleman right now. So he's doing pretty darn well considering the supply for a lot of this year hasn't been great to him. So he's having a great year, Aaron Naughton, and that might have been his best game of the season, despite the fact he only kicked 2 goals. So where to from here for the Bulldogs? Well, I don't know, man. We are just such a bipolar footy club. I said after the game, it's like, I love this footy club, but God, they can give me a headache sometimes, and I don't know where to from here. I'm happy we won a game without Tim English. The first win of the season without Tim English. So that was pretty important, really important, because without Tim English playing, I thought we were going to get absolutely dominated at stoppage and Gorney having a day out. But we didn't, so that was really good to see. I thought defensively we actually held up pretty well. Melbourne's key forwards didn't really get off the chain. I thought the Bulldogs defenders were a lot of the time got into really good positions for spoils and intercepts. I thought Buku Kamas was a lot better, playing a bit more back shoulder, spoiling and taking a few intercept marks, which was very nice to see, instead of peeling off his man and not knowing where his man was. So that was really good to see Buku playing more back shoulder, which I really liked. And we forced the Dees into a lot of rushed entries. They didn't isolate our defenders one-on-one as much. It was mainly their smalls and midfielders that got the damage on the scoreboard for us, really. So yeah, really happy with that. And the only part of the game that really annoyed me was those last 3 goals in the second quarter in like 2 minutes. So I was like crashing out at halftime because we conceded those goals in very little time, and they could have easily been so avoidable. But I'm glad that momentum of the Dees didn't carry on into the second half, and we didn't roll over. So that was really impressive. We bounced back from that. And ultimately, another close win for us this year. There's been a few of them, but boy, that felt good. It felt way better than the Port game. That Port game was just pure relief and just an avoiding embarrassment. That Dees win was actual joy. Final 4 as well. We go 6-5. We're 9th on the ladder. Had we lost, we would have been 13th. A win like that hopefully can turn our season around, because the last month or so has not been fun to us. Hopefully this is not a one-off. Hopefully we can get some more wins and get some more players back heading into the bye in round 16. We got Collingwood on Saturday night. They're coming off Pendle's record-breaking game. So a lot of emotion would have been put into that game against West Coast. But they've also got some injuries. No Jamie Elliott out for the rest of the year. And no Darcy Moore with another hamstring injury. So they got a few missing Collingwood. So who knows what could happen. I think it's going to be an intriguing game. The preview will be out for that in a few days. So that will be exciting. And I also just want to say rest in peace to Neil Danaher, who unfortunately died a few days ago of this recording. And I just want to say what an inspiration and what a great human being he was. And he was an inspiration to many. So rest in peace, Neil Danaher. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm glad the Doggies won. And as always, go you mighty Bulldogs. See you next time.